Now, a new report has found that China could face deadly heat waves as a result of climate change. China's North Plain is the most densely populated region of the country and will become severely impacted if greenhouse gas emissions continue at their current rate. According to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, unless drastic measures are taken, China's most populous and agriculturally important region could face such deadly conditions repeatedly. Well, Professor Eltahir is the scientist who led the study. He told me more about the findings.
Yeah, this study focusing on China is the third in a series of 3 studies in which we try to explore the nature of future heat waves under climate change. And we define a region that extends from the Persian Gulf to South Asia and extending to eastern China, including the North China Plain, where we think impacts of climate change combined with impacts of irrigation would result in deadly heat waves that would touch on the limit of survivability of human beings.
And why this particular region specifically, as opposed to elsewhere around the world? We are seeing this, as I mentioned, in other places.
Yes, the region has several factors that combine to basically produce these very severe climate conditions, including the low-lying lands, the low topography, the extensive irrigation that has been developed during the 20th century in this region, and the geographical location relative to the continents and the ocean. They all combine to define conditions that could be conducive for severe heat waves that could happen, especially under the business-as-usual scenario of global emissions of greenhouse gases.
And as I mentioned earlier, this is one of China's most densely populated places. It's also one of the places where most of China's food is grown. So what will this mean for the country and its agriculture?
Yeah, I think it's quite a significant projection, and it could limit many of the human activities that would require people to basically be outdoors, and that includes, of course, agriculture and food production. We have not looked specifically at how crops and how the agricultural system would respond to those severe heat conditions. However, humans, farmers, their ability will be limited in basically working outdoors to take care of their crops.
That's right. Your research has found that a fairly healthy individual, if exposed to this kind of heat wave, could die in just a matter of hours. So what can we do briefly to try to prevent deaths?
I think there are several things that we recommend in our study. One of them is taking mitigation efforts at the global scale by China, India, and also other industrialized countries to take significant mitigation efforts to reduce the emissions of greenhouse gases. And under those scenarios, the severity of these heat waves would be reduced. But even under scenarios in which we assume moderate mitigation, there is still a rise in the frequency and intensity of heat waves, although it may not rise to the level of being deadly heat waves, and that may require some adaptation measures related to education, spread of